Hello, and welcome to this edition of People in Transition. I'm your host, Bob Gerst. I've been hiring and mentoring executives, frontline employees, and job seekers for nearly 40 years through a host of transitions, some difficult, but most very good. This experience has given me a bird's eye view on a variety of trends, economies, industry disruptors, and transitions, big and small. It also brought me into contact with the thought leaders and decision makers you need to meet. Imagine knowing exactly what to do next and how to know it's time to make your big job change. We all know transitions can be scary, but it doesn't have to be. And it's even fun when you have actionable strategies and proven tactics to achieve the future you want. We'll share with you the tools and skills that can take your dreams to your next great job. So if change is on your horizon, you won't want to miss this discussion. Also, please subscribe to this podcast so you won't miss any future episodes. Welcome to another episode of People in Transition, where we explore the journeys of individuals navigating pivotal moments in life and their career. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome Deanna Russo, a LinkedIn expert and founder of Leverage Up, whose story is as inspiring as her strategies are transformative. Deanna went from having a modest LinkedIn network of 400 connections to an incredibly impressive 30,000 plus connections, all while honing a powerful methodology she calls the LinkedIn Triangle. Her passion lies in empowering others to unlock LinkedIn's full potential, whether they're solopreneurs, corporate teams, or anyone looking to make a meaningful professional connections. Deanna's innovative approach demystifies LinkedIn, treating it less like a digital resume and more like a dynamic network event built on the principles of know, like, and trust. Through her coaching, speaking engagements, and her featured chapters in the Complete Small Business Growth Handbook, she's helped countless clients achieve incredible results, like skyrocketing profile views and converting connections into clients. Today, we'll dive into her story, strategies, and actionable tips to help you navigate your professional transition on LinkedIn and beyond. Deanna, welcome to our show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Deanna, one of the things that my listeners have really liked, and it's grown into my signature question, if you think back when you were a child, what was it that you wanted to be when you grew up?
So one of the things that I really always had a fascination with and a love of is flying. And during school, I wanted to go to the Air Force Academy. I thought that that would be a really awesome career, and being a pilot would be super, super cool. Unfortunately, I did not have the grades to make it at the Air Force Academy. They needed straight A's, and it was very, very competitive. It probably still is. And looking back at it now, it's interesting to think about if that would have happened. I don't know if my life would have ended up the way it is now. So I ended up actually going for a career in broadcasting. I went to school for broadcast journalism, and I was a TV news producer for 6 years. And then I shifted into online marketing and took a variety of online marketing, public relations, sales jobs until I was in a sales job in 2018. And that sales job brought me to LinkedIn.
And let's talk about that for just a moment. How did you get started on LinkedIn? What was the catalyst that led you to take off down that path?
So the very first day that I was starting this new job, sales job, it was a small IT startup in Columbus, Ohio. My boss said to me, "We want you to use LinkedIn to bring in new business." And I said, "Okay, well, I have this account. and I've had it for a while. I haven't done a lot with it. So I'll just go on and try and figure it out. And he's like, wait, before you do that, we have some ideas. We want you to put together a script and to send this script to companies on LinkedIn and off LinkedIn, direct messages, emails. And I did it. I did it for weeks until the light bulb moment, which was these people don't know me. These people don't like me. And these people probably and most assuredly don't trust me. And so why would I waste my time sending these notes if I hadn't earned that know, like, and trust? And so I stopped and I started creating content on LinkedIn, and I started having conversations on LinkedIn, and I started paying very close attention to my profile and what the messages I was putting out there to people. And next thing you know, I'm busy doing the sales part of the job and not paying any attention to my growth 18 months after starting that job. And I looked at my LinkedIn one day and I said, wait, I had 400 connections when I started this job. I have 11,000. And it was very eye-opening. It was very eye-opening because I wasn't paying attention to the numbers. I just knew that in order to grow the know, like, and trust, I needed to keep showing up. I needed to keep answering people's why are you here questions. And 18 months later, I grew from 400 to 11,000. And like you said, I have over 30,000 followers now, and it boggles my mind. I could fill half a football stadium with the amount of people who are following me on LinkedIn.
I hear the term that I created content.
Yes.
And I have to tell you that brings shivers to me. I'm not a writer. I'm not someone that can sit down and just, whip off some profound thing. How do you go about that? Explain, number one, what content is and how do you do that?
I think that content comes in different forms. So you do not have to be the best writer on the planet. You do not have to be super comfortable on video. These podcast episodes could be content. If you were to chop up these podcasts into smaller clips of 2 minutes or less, and some people might even say 1 minute or less, depending on the subject content and if you can get the point across. It's got to be short clips. That's content. When you're talking about content for LinkedIn, I always say to go to the stories, share the stories, because people like stories. They like learning. They like building relationships. They like relating to people. And so all of the above is good content.
Can you share a pivotal moment, or maybe there were several in your career that led you to start up your Leverage Up?
Yes, I think that the biggest pivotal moment was when that sales job I was in, they asked me to transition to an administrative role at the company instead of sales. And I thought to myself, well, that's not why I was hired. And that's not what I want to do. I'd rather not push papers. I'd rather work on sales and bring in sales for the company. And so I gave my notice, and it was less than 6 months later that I decided to start my business. Everyone that I had been networking with, both on LinkedIn and off LinkedIn, told me this is a sign. This is a sign because you have figured out something on LinkedIn that no one else can come to terms with. You've done things on LinkedIn that it's rare, very rare. And so I started all the groundwork to start my company. And then next thing you know, Bob, a global pandemic wipes out all face-to-face networking. And so here I am homeschooling my 3 kids, and I get an email in my inbox that says, congratulations, you now own a business. And I think to myself, what did I get myself into? What did I do? But needless to say, starting a business at the start of a pandemic like that probably isn't the most ideal, but starting a LinkedIn-centered business, it was pretty good timing because people started coming in within weeks of me announcing this business. People started knocking on my doors. So I had already set in place the visibility piece. And then I transitioned from salesperson to business owner. And that's when I started getting the messages.
Deanna, a lot of people talk about starting a business. It sounds very romantic and almost rugged like, yet you did it. Why do you think that you were successful at it when so many fail?
I think that I have determination and perseverance to not fail. I compare creating content on LinkedIn to exercise. And that if you have your mindset on a specific goal when it comes to losing weight or toning up, building more strength and more muscle, then you have to keep showing up. You have to keep at it. Consistency is a really big part of it. And so I see the 5-year milestone that's fast approaching. And I know that a big piece of the amount of people who have started a business, a large percentage, have closed down their doors, have closed down their shop in less than 5 years. And if I can make that milestone, I'm in good shape.
Deanna, so many people feel overwhelmed by LinkedIn. It's so large. There are so many parts to it. It's very difficult to stay current even with it or how to use it as a powerful tool that it is. What's your best advice to people, professionals that feel that way?
If you approach LinkedIn like you would go to a networking event, then you will change the way you think about it. People get to know you from your profile. They get to like you through the conversations you're having in the comments. They get to trust you through the content that you're putting out there. And then you make that triangle of know, like, and trust, profile, engagement, and content into a pyramid with consistency. Make it 3D by bringing consistency to it. And that is my secret sauce. It's very simple. It's not complex in any way. It's just you got to get to know them through the profile, like them through the conversations, and trust them through the content.
Let's spend a little bit more time on that LinkedIn triangle. How does it differ from other strategies people use? And could you help me get better in terms of understanding it and using it myself?
A lot of people and a lot of companies use LinkedIn more like a sales vehicle. And there are still quite a few people that are using LinkedIn like an online resume. And that's where I ask people to change their mindset and to look at it as a big networking event, because we are not on LinkedIn to be pitched to be sold to. And if you have just a shell of yourself on LinkedIn, I encourage you to take another look at it, because that shell, where a resume can be very powerful, you can make LinkedIn as robust as you want, because it is not a resume. It is your billboard. And the other two pieces of that triangle get more cars driving by that billboard, because what's the point of a really nice billboard if no one sees it? It could be on a desolate highway, a desolate road that nobody's driving down, and it could look really good. But how much better would it be if you had a busy highway and your billboard looking really awesome on that busy highway where lots of people see you, and you stop traffic because you're looking so good, and people send you direct messages saying, I want to find out more about working with you. That's what it's all about.
Deanna, what do you feel are some of the common mistakes that professionals make on their LinkedIn account that limit that visibility, that limit that busyness on the highway?
Well, one of the biggest mistakes I see is people forgetting that there is a large number of people on LinkedIn that are looking at LinkedIn, that are on LinkedIn, using their mobile app on their phone. And so LinkedIn may look really awesome on the desktop. Your profile could look perfect on your desktop. But if you aren't checking how it looks on the mobile app, you are missing out, because there are quite a few people now that are on their phones and they're scrolling and they're looking. So do not forget that the mobile app is just as important as the desktop version of LinkedIn.
What are some of the common conversions, if you will, from desktop to mobile that I should be looking for to make certain that I make those modifications that it does look as good on my mobile?
I have been known to change my banner image, and that is the graphic at the top of your LinkedIn profile. I have been known to change it as many times as 12, 15 times to make sure that it looks just as good on the desktop as it does on the mobile. And what I mean by that is people need to read the text. It can't be too busy. You really need to be clear and concise about what your ultimate goal is on LinkedIn. If you are going and to make changes on your profile and you don't know why you're there, then I highly encourage you to take a step backwards and to pause and to think about, why am I here? Maybe you're on LinkedIn to find a job, but are you going to write unemployed in your headline? Are you going to write looking for my next opportunity in your banner? Or are you going to be very clear for what opportunity you are looking for? Because chances are you are not writing unemployed or looking for my next opportunity on your resume. So why would you say that on your profile on LinkedIn? It is about making sure that you differentiate yourself from everyone else who does what you do. Because if I were to go into LinkedIn right now and do a search for account executive, for example, chances are I would find millions of people that are using account executive. But what I'm not seeing are people that go that extra step to say what makes them different, what makes them unique. And that's what I encourage people to do.
So what I'm hearing you say is that if someone, a friend of yours, is transitioning in their career and they want to use LinkedIn to stand out and build new opportunities, what would be those 2 or 3 key things that you would ask them to do to help them stand out?
The first one is take a look at your headline, and that is the text written underneath your profile picture. You have 220 characters to use for that, but that doesn't mean you have to fill every single blank. Your first 45 characters travels with you when you comment. The first 45 characters travel with you when you post. So that should be where you put your energies into. And perhaps you like dogs. Perhaps you like outdoors. Anything like that is fine to write on LinkedIn, but don't lead with it, because professionally, you want to think about your ultimate goal. And unless your ultimate goal is to brag to the world about how much you like the outdoors, I would say to lead with the professional and make sure that first 45 characters really defines who you are and what you do. And then you can add a little personal tidbit.
If you were given someone advice that maybe is really very new to LinkedIn and they want to grow their network authentically, not just add numbers, but make it a very purposeful experience, both for them as well as the connection, what's the advice that you'd give that person?
Show up as yourself on LinkedIn. And what I mean by that is twofold. Number one, find a good picture of yourself. It's head and shoulders, because as awesome as that mountaintop looks like as you're standing on it and the view behind you, think about the fact that people are on the LinkedIn mobile app and they want to see your face. They want to see your smile. So the picture is very important. There are quite a few people on LinkedIn that say that they will flat out not accept any connection requests from people without a profile picture. So make sure that not only you have one, but make sure you go into the settings and make sure under visibility that it's set to everyone. Make sure that everyone can see you. And then the second part of that is when you show up as yourself, you are commenting as Bob. You are commenting as yourself. So comment the way you would talk to someone in person, because you don't have to overthink it. It's not about, oh, what should I say here? No, just have a conversation and people will get to like you and relate to you based on what you're saying. So that's really important, is to show up as yourself and be proud of what you're putting out there, because that billboard is a bragging point for you. You can brag about yourself there. And a lot of people do not like to sell themselves. If I had $1 for every time that someone told me I am really good at selling this or selling this, and then that same person tells me I am not good at selling myself, I would be making quite a bit of money if I had $1 for every single time I heard that. So my role then, when I'm working with clients, is to tell them, if you do not sell yourself, who will? Who's going to put you out there to the masses? Who's going to drive by your billboard? It is about you taking ownership of your responsibilities and your experience and your expertise and the awards and the acknowledgments that you have gotten, and make sure that the entire world knows about them.
Deanna, I know that you are a big fan of metaphors, and you've described LinkedIn as a big billboard. What other metaphor do you have for LinkedIn, the kind of site it is for yourself, your profile, what it can do?
Thank you for asking. I am a huge fan of metaphors. I find that metaphors allow people to really understand this platform so much better. So your profile is your billboard. When you comment, and you notice that when I'm talking about engaging on LinkedIn, I say comment and not react, because no one walks into a networking event and gives a thumbs up and claps and a heart symbol. No, they're having conversations. So when you comment on LinkedIn, the metaphor is you're shaking hands. You're getting to know that person. That person is getting to like you. Because if you walk into a networking event and you don't talk to anyone, what's the point of even being there? You need to have conversations with people. And then that third metaphor is that when you create content on LinkedIn, that content becomes the megaphone. It becomes the bullhorn. It is you standing on the rooftop and shouting and telling people why they should trust you. And if you are shouting from that megaphone but not shaking hands, you are not going to make the impact that you would by doing all three of those things, by optimizing your profile, by having conversations, and by shouting into that megaphone. So that's why it really is a triangle. You can't have one piece without the others. And then that pyramid comes in with consistency. You got to just stay at it. And you do not have to be on LinkedIn 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Trust me, I have 3 kids. I am super busy mama. No, I'm not on there 24 hours a week, but I am on there consistently.
What might that mean? Twice a week? Once every other week? What does consistency mean from your standpoint?
It means whatever you know that you can step up the plate and do. That based on what is going on professionally with you, personally with you, what is the commitment you can make? When I started creating content on LinkedIn, it was Halloween of 2018. And I said, I'm going to do videos. And I did 2 videos a week. I kept that up for over a year. On the same days, I knew that I had to create videos. Now, that's a really good example of consistency. And the proof is in the numbers, because it helped me grow dramatically when I put that consistency into action. But I'm not going to tell somebody they need to do 2 videos a week if they are, number 1, uncomfortable on video, and number 2, they don't have the time to do 2 videos a week. So I always answer that question with, do whatever is feasible for you. If once a week works, go for it. Go for it. Pick a day, pick a time. You can keep showing up at the same day, same time. And that way you can actually track your data. You can track your analytics as you grow.
Have you noticed any difference in impact, written content versus video content?
Yes, that's the short answer to that question. But the algorithm for LinkedIn has changed. It changes on a regular basis. So while videos at one point were good, then the algorithm shifts and then videos don't seem to be as important. Right now, LinkedIn has a video feed. So lots of people are trying to get those videos in that video feed. But I always say that you need to find what works for you. But then think about this. Variety is the spice of life. Because if you keep showing up in the exact same way every single time, people get bored. They get really bored. So spice it up. And if you've never done a video before, and if you've written content on LinkedIn, try a video. Turn on your camera, 2 minutes or less. Tell us why we should be paying attention to you. What value do you have to offer? What stories do you have to tell? Yeah, it changes. The minute that someone tries to figure out the LinkedIn algorithm, then it changes.
Both for myself as well as for my clients, there are times in the job search process that you just feel overwhelmed. You've gotten the fourth reject call or email for the week. That one job that you really thought you were perfect for, they didn't ask you in for an interview. Any number of things can take place that keeps you on that emotional roller coaster. And one of the things that I hear about, and I experienced it myself, was that I really like to hear positive stories of individuals who succeeded in their job search. Can you give us some examples of clients that you've worked with that have been successful based on the power of your triangle strategy?
One of my first clients came to work with me because she was in a grant-funded position. And she said, I want to be proactive instead of reactive. So she said, I know that there is a possibility that this position could be out of money and that I will be laid off. I want to work proactively in order to ensure that I do everything that I can do to promote myself and brand myself. And we did it. We worked together to optimize her profile, and I taught her where to go to have conversations that people really needed to see her, and she started creating content. And what happened was a recruiter reached out to her. She didn't even know that the position was open, and that is the best. And it's another person I've worked with. I did a before and after picture of his profile. Before, it was very bland. It had a picture. That's about it. There really wasn't much put in there. And then afterwards, it was pretty remarkable how you could take a side-by-side picture and show the before and after, because what he has done is taken the knowledge that I taught him and transformed his LinkedIn presence. And then the third one is that there is a job seeker that I worked with, and she's not even super active on LinkedIn anymore because her job that she got because of working together and branding herself on LinkedIn, it keeps her so busy that she's not on it as much as she was. But I still use her as an example when I'm showing people how to do the about section, because I have my checklist of things that we go through as we're working on the profile. And I can say that this is a good about section, but then you can take the information I give you and put your unique flair on it. And that's what she did. She broke it down into bullet points. And I've had other clients that said, I really like hers. I'm like, go for it. Because I'm not going to tell you that it has to be X, Y, and Z. I'm just saying that it needs to have these components to it. Formatting, go for it. Make it your own. Customize it. But there's quite a few job seekers I've worked with that have taken their LinkedIn presence and definitely leveraged up on the platform because of working together.
Deanna, you work with LinkedIn certainly as much, if not more, than most of the people. What do you think some of the trends or changes that users should pay attention to for the future of LinkedIn going to 2025 and beyond?
One of the things that LinkedIn wants people to do is to pay to play. And what I mean by that is they have LinkedIn Premium, they have LinkedIn Sales Navigator, they have all these options that are subscription based. And I will be the first one to tell you that I use the free version of LinkedIn. And I have noticed that things have been changing dramatically to suck people in to buying premium, LinkedIn Premium. And I recently did a newsletter on the pros and cons of premium. And it wasn't written from someone that just has the free version and only will ever have the free version, because I wanted to make it a diplomatic view of LinkedIn Premium versus the basic version. And it was a very well received newsletter for sure. And I think that that's just the tip of the iceberg. I think that they had LinkedIn audio events for a while, and now they're transitioning into one single platform for both audio and video. And some people have said it's the demise of the LinkedIn audio events, which I'm a little bummed about because I had my own LinkedIn audio event for about a year and a half. So it's little things that they are changing. They have offered more for premium users, but that doesn't mean that you have to buy premium. There are workarounds over everything that premium has versus the free version. So I'm probably not going to make a lot of fans at LinkedIn when I say that I've been using the free version, but I've grown quite successfully on LinkedIn using the free version.
Deanna, are there any books or other resources that you would recommend to someone?
I wrote a chapter in a book called The Complete Small Business Guidebook, and the book is available on Amazon. It is a collaborative book, and I wrote chapter 17. And while the book itself is directed to small business owners, there is a lot of good information and advice and stories for people regardless of what you're doing. So that has to be one. I myself am reading it from cover to cover, and I'm setting up Zoom calls and phone calls with all of the authors in the book because they're just really amazing people, and I'm very proud to be part of it. But on the other hand, when it comes to other resources, I find that the most learning can come from LinkedIn. That when people are in a job search, one of the first things that they're doing is they're applying and applying and applying. And they get frustrated when they get the emails in their inbox saying, sorry, you haven't been chosen, or another candidate has been chosen, or whatever it is. And LinkedIn can be a fantastic, fabulous tool, learning tool. And you don't even need a book. So I say it's a great resource for learning things about your field. And it's just a matter of finding where people are already having those conversations.
Deanna, we've gone through so many great ideas, tips, and techniques today. If our listeners only remember 2 or 3 things, what are those 2 or 3 things that you want them to take away?
The first is that your LinkedIn profile is your billboard. The second is that when you comment on LinkedIn, you are shaking hands. And the third is when you create content on LinkedIn, you are sharing your advice, your expertise through your megaphone. So think about the know, like, and trust through the billboard, shaking hands, and the megaphone. And then throw it all in with consistency. And there you go. That's the secret sauce.
I think I can speak for all of my listeners that you're someone very easy to know, like, and trust. And I so appreciate all of the ideas that you shared with us this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you for listening. We're working in unprecedented times. The purpose of these episodes is to give you the support and critical tools to adjust with the changing marketplace. I'll continue to introduce you to guests who have successfully survived their own obstacle course and can share useful information. If today's message was helpful to you, please share it on your social media. Your review and rating helps get this to more people. Also,
If you have questions or podcast ideas for future conversations, reach out to me on LinkedIn. Change is constant. The more prepared you are for it, the better and easier the change will occur. Thank you again. This is your host, Bob Gerst. See you at our next episode.